Hey everyone, here's a term you hear often in school discourse, measurement. And if you're like most people, the word might bring up images of rulers, scales, or test scores. Let's begin by looking at where the word comes from. Measurement comes from the Latin root meteri, which means to measure. And that traces back even further to the Proto-Indo-European root me, meaning to divide or to allot. So at its core, measurement is about making distinctions, dividing things up so we can describe them, compare them, and make sense of them. That's pretty interesting, right? Measurement is about drawing boundaries in a continuous world so that we can talk about what we're seeing. In schooling, measurement typically means assigning numbers. Numbers or scores to student work using specific rules. We're trying to make learning visible, to quantify performance, growth, or ability in a way that feels objective. But here's the catch. Just because we put a number on something doesn't mean we've captured its full meaning. Measurement is helpful, but it's also limiting, and we need to be aware of that. When most people hear the word measurement, they think of numbers, scales, units, something exact and neutral. In schools, measurement often shows up as test scores, percentages, and levels. It seems scientific, doesn't it? It seems objective, fair, and precise. But underneath, it's carrying a powerful story about what learning is. Viewed from the perspective of the official theory of learning, measurement is how we make learning visible by turning experiences into objects and assigning numbers to those objects so that we can quantify them. Here, knowledge is objectified, treated like an object or a substance, and measurement is a tool for extracting and weighing that substance. It tells us how much a student has acquired and how they compare to others. Its material is numerical in nature, test scores, grades, proficiency scales. Its form is linear, hierarchical. Here we note levels, percentiles, ranks. Its purpose is to reduce complexity to a quantity or value, how much, how good. And its function is to standardize and systematize, to create order, predictability, and accountability. And the affordances? Well, it allows for sorting, benchmarking, and reporting, but often it flattens the learner's experience into a single, decontextualized number. But what if we saw measurement differently? In an embodied relational understanding, measurement is not about reducing experience to data. It's about noticing what matters. We still measure, but the question changes. Instead of how much, we ask, what's emerging here? How is this learner relating to the material, to themselves, to the world? The material might be a student's tone in a presentation, the questions they're asking, their movement in a group project, or the way they revise an idea. The form might be observation notes, narrative feedback, or descriptive rubrics that leave room for nuance and texture. The purpose isn't to quantify learning, but rather to understand its shape, direction, and texture. The function is to support responsive teaching and invite reflective learning. And the affordances? Well, measurement becomes a practice of attunement. It opens space for insight, growth, and shared meaning making, not just data collection. So again, same word, measurement, but in one story it makes learning small. In the other, it makes learning visible. Measurement isn't just about numbers, it's about noticing. In a classroom that recognizes relational understanding, we measure what matters: growth, connection, curiosity, change. Not everything that counts can be counted, but everything that's felt, noticed, and understood, that's real measurement too.